Hey, what's up? Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a measurement of soil pH and electrical conductivity. First, you're going to want to grab a bag of soil and take it to the lab. Alright, now we've got our soil in the lab. We've got everything set up and ready to go. I'm going to real quick just go ahead and measure out the water first. So you want 25 milligrams of water, and I'm going to go a little overkill with it and do it with this volumetric pipette. So right now I'm using DI water and just filling it up to the line on the pipette. You've probably seen this if you've taken chemistry or what have you. Okay, so now I've got my water measured out, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour it into a test tube. This test tube I've got right here holds 50 milliliters, so that'll be plenty of room for 25 milliliters of water and for our soil that we're gonna put in there. Another quick side note, DI water is what I'm using right now, but if you can get this 18.2 M Omega water, it'll be extra accurate, and I think that probably just depends on how accurate you want your measurements to be, but we don't have any of that in the lab right now. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and measure out as close as I can to 2 grams of soil. As you can see, this it's a pretty accurate scale, but it does have a little bit of fluctuation, and some of that is just it's very sensitive. So even just like waving my hand in front of it, the wind is gonna like change the amount of weight that it's sensing. But it is pretty accurate, I think, overall. Just a couple of decimal places that maybe aren't perfect. So I'm just going to use this scoop to take some soil out and put it in the boat. And I put too much. And try and get it as accurate as you can. But that last decimal place isn't going to be perfect, as we've seen. There we go. That's pretty close to what it's going to be. I think that's probably as good as it's going to get. So. Alright, from here you're going to take your soil sample and just try and get as much of it as you can, and make sure not to spill into the water, into the test tube. You could probably use a funnel for this if you wanted or something, but I don't think it's necessary. And then I just tap it to get that little last bit. And then I'm actually just going to weigh this too. If you're doing a lot of successive soil samples, it'll probably weigh about the same because it'll have a little bit of soil left each time. But so, yeah, clearly I didn't get all the soil. There's probably 0.004 or 5 grams, but it's going to be close enough to be accurate enough for what we're doing, I think. The last thing you're going to want to do is just label your soil sample so that you know where it came from. And then we're going to take it to the agitator. Alright, so the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get your samples that you've got all measured out and put them on this agitator here or something equivalent. You can change the speed of it to whatever you think will be right. I don't think it has to be that fast. And you're going to want to leave it there for at least an hour. You can probably leave it overnight, but you don't want to leave it for too long either. If you leave it for, I think, more than a day, the pH will start to change and your values won't be accurate. So you don't want to do it for too long. Alright, so once your samples have been agitated for at least an hour, you're going to want to wait for them to settle. This one could be a little more settled, but this is just for the demonstration. So, and then what you're going to want to do is take out your pH meter. Make sure to calibrate it before you do any tests, and then also maybe have some calibration solution so that you can just make sure it's still reading accurate after every couple of tests that you do. But I'm just going to go right ahead, put it in here. It'll say not stable for a while, but once it reads stable, you've got your value and you can use that going forward. Then after I'm done, between each sample that you test, you want to wash off the meter with DI water, and also just make sure that everything is clean and good to go in between each test. The next one I'm going to do is pretty similar. So I have here a salinity conductivity meter, and you pretty much do the same thing. You're just going to stick the probe in there and wait till it settles on a pretty consistent value, and then you just mark that down and start doing whatever calculations you want to do. And you're also going to want to wash this off with DI water in between each test, just to make sure that you're still getting accurate numbers and you're not contaminating your samples with material from the other samples. So that's pretty much how you measure your electrical conductivity and pH in your soil samples. Good luck.